what's happening today, and how many people are taking part? Tell us about this protest at first.
Well, thousands of low-wage workers in fast food and retail industries are walking off the job today for exactly what you said, a fair and decent living wage of $15 an hour and the right to form a union without retaliation. The workers here in Wisconsin are just a few of literally thousands who are taking part in these strikes across more than 100 cities throughout the United States. And in addition to that, there are hundreds of more actions happening in communities where there are not striking workers, but people really felt the need and the desire to stand with the fast food and retail workers on this National Day of Action.
And what other major cities? You mentioned Madison, Milwaukee, and
Wausau, which is
Wausau.
Actually sort of a semi-rural community in central Wisconsin. You know, one of the things that we want folks to understand is that this is not just an issue that affects African Americans and urban folks, although it certainly does affect those communities. But you know, the spread of poverty and the lack of family supporting jobs goes across this nation in suburban communities, in rural communities, and in urban communities. So it's something that everybody should really stand up and support.
What other big American cities are involved today?
Oh, everywhere,
not the entire list, but just a few of them.
We've got workers going off the job in North Carolina, in Chapel Hill. We've got people walking off the job in Texas and San Antonio. We've got folks going off the job in California and New York and solidarity actions in Ohio. My guess is that if you're in a major city or even a mid-sized city like Milwaukee here, there's probably a worker action taking place in your city. But you can go to lowpayisnotokay.org, and you can find out where the action is taking place for you. Most actions are taking place around 11:30 this afternoon.
I like that. Lowpayisnotokay.org, right? That's the website? That's good. Lowpayisnotokay.org. Is this a one-day action, Jen?
Exactly. Workers today are going on strike for one day. They will return to work tomorrow. It's an unconditional return to work. And, you know, one of the things that folks have been asking are the workers scared? And it was great this morning to hear one of the workers at McDonald's, the first strike that we were at this morning. His name is Devontae Yates, and he helped to organize his coworkers, and the entire shift that he was working this morning walked off the job and joined the rest of the strike line.
Wow.
And, you know, he said, I'm not afraid because I know the union has my back. I know what I'm doing is right, and I know that I am legally protected to take this action. And I just thought, what an empowering statement he just made to workers all across this country.
And what union has organized these strikes?
These folks actually have formed their own organizing committee. So they're called the Milwaukee Workers Organizing Committee. They formed about 9 months ago. And, they formed because they started organizing around wages, but they quickly realized that there are a lot of issues that folks deal with every day in this industry, from being injured at work and not having any health insurance to not getting enough hours or having fair scheduling to actually having their wages stolen from them by their employer. And so they decided that they wanted to form a union, and that's where the demand came because, as you know, there are no organized fast food restaurants currently in the United States. I'm thinking even in the world. So what they're doing is revolutionary, and if they're able to be successful, if we join with them and help lift up their cause, it's going to transform the economy, not just for those workers, but for our entire country.
Now, what happened to this McDonald's where the entire shift, every worker on that first shift walked off the job? Did they have to close the restaurant?
Well, there was a manager who was on the shift, and so the manager remained in the restaurant and was working it by herself. And of course, they always have plenty of security on hand when they know workers are going off the job. Were they able to serve security guards?
Were they able to serve customers?
It was slow going. We were out there for about an hour and a half, and it was a very slow line, I have to tell you. But they got a few folks through, and by and large, the customers are very pleasant and supportive. I think the majority of people in this country understand that nobody can survive on $7.25. So even when people are going to these restaurants, they understand that the workers need to be making more.
Yeah, and that's been the chant. That's been the slogan, can't survive on $7.25. President Obama yesterday, speaking to a forum sponsored by the Center for American Progress here in Washington, D.C., touched on this issue himself. Here he is.
It's well past the time to raise a minimum wage that in real terms right now is below where it was when Harry Truman was in office.
So, Jen, I don't know, but $15 may sound like, gee, you're doubling what the minimum wage is now. But even at $15 an hour, right, these workers would still be not far above the poverty level, would they?
Right. I mean, I think what's sad is that wages and the rate that they've increased is so out of whack in this country that people don't even realize that $15 an hour still barely nets somebody $30,000 a year. So we're not talking about people getting rich. I mean, nobody's going to go buy a big $1 million house. They certainly are not going to accumulate anything near what the McDonald's CEO makes. He made $14 million last year.
Whoa.
You know, workers are really talking about the fact that they believe in a country where if you get up every day and you go to work and you work hard and you help to make the corporation that you work for incredibly and immensely profitable, that the very least you should be able to expect is to be able to live independently and not have to rely on public assistance to get by. And that's all these workers are saying. Right.
And now, after today's action, are there other days of action planned in other cities as well?
So over 100 cities are participating with worker strikes, and there's almost 100 more that are having solidarity actions. Mm-hmm. We really think the momentum on this is the tides are turning. Not only did we have President Obama and his labor secretary issue responses to the strike, but we also saw Pope Francis a week ago talk about the Catholic doctrine and the need that income inequality is the defining moment as well as President Obama. So I think that the tides are turning and there's momentum to actually win some great victories. We saw in Seattle, they've already implemented a $15 an hour living wage for the workers at the SeaTac suburb of Seattle, the airport.
Yeah. Right.
So it's already happening. For people who said it can't happen, it's already happening just a year after these workers went out on
I
strike.
think it's a great movement, a great cause, and I admire the way you're going about it.